Well, hello and welcome all you wonderful people to the Texas Special YouTube channel. For this September 2025 HO scale locomotive review, we are going to take a look at this older stock Atlas Southern Pacific RS-11. Now, if you've been watching the channel for a while, you know the Stars Hollow Railroad is an SP railroad. So, surprise, surprise, the vast majority of what you're going to see on here is stuff in SP paint. Obviously, Atlas made this in other railroads other than Southern Pacific, but I digress. So as I said, this is an older model. This is a early 90s, I believe, model. Possibly late 80s. It is DCC equipped. Unfortunately, at the time of this filming, the Stars Hollow Railroad is not. So we're going to run it conventional. You can see some slightly oversized but relatively sturdy plastic hand railings. Some bare bones but moderately well done locomotive trucks. You have the brake cylinders here, the journals and covers here, the coil springs here, and the leaf springs here. And the same with the other truck. The lettering and numbering along the locomotive is actually fairly well done. And you can see a lot of cast-on detailing, which doesn't surprise me. Again, this is an older model. So you have cast-on grab irons along the short hood. You have cast-on grill detail all along the long hood, and you can see right here up top for the cooling fan. The paint separation is very well done. There's no sloppiness along the end of the long hood like you would see on some of the older Atherns. I will say that I don't know if it's a byproduct of how the locomotive was stored or if that's how it was delivered, but the paint along the top of the short hood and long hood is a little thin. It's a little thin. It looks like it might have been a little runny, and there wasn't enough coats, what have you. You can see the, I believe, prototypically correct 3-chime air horn. And the number boards and headlights on both ends of the locomotives do light up. Now, because this is running on DC, of course, the lower the track voltage, the dimmer the lights. The higher the track voltage, the brighter the lights. The pilots on either ends are one solid piece, which is a little bit of a disappointment because you can see just this big thick plastic glob right here and kind of a slight ridge where the step is intended to be, and then it's a little bit more defined here, and then it's very well defined here. Looking at the business end of this beast, you can see, let me angle it a little better, you can see that the door on the front of the cab on the conductor side, I guess in the era this was built, that would be the fireman side, is molded on to the cab. It's the same way on the rear of the cab back here on the engineer side. You can see the cast-on grab irons along the front of the short hood, as well as the number board and headlights. Now, there are no numbers on the number boards, unfortunately. They're just plain plastic. You also have a cast-on handbrake wheel here. You can see there is no safety chain, but you can see the hoses where the MU hoses would have been, and a footboard for the brakeman. These locomotives, when they were brand new, were used in mainline road service for the Southern Pacific. Toward the end of their careers, they were relegated to yard duty and local switching assignments. The engine, more than likely, when it was brand new, came with a horn hook coupler, but has since been replaced with a good old reliable Katy number 5. On the rear of the locomotive, you see more cast-on grab irons, and I neglected to mention the marker lights, cast-on marker lights here and here, as well as the sand filling ports here and here. Those are also present on the front of the locomotive. My apologies for leaving that out. No handbrake wheel, as there shouldn't be on this. The prototype had it in the middle of the nose on the front. And again, slightly oversized handrails and the MU hose connections right here, as well as the molded on cut lever. I do not see any polling pockets on this locomotive. And again, the footboard and Katy coupler. So looking at the top of this locomotive, you can see the grill, some cast-on grab irons here and here, a cast-on exhaust stack here, more grill detailing, and some hinge and latch detailing along these top little compartments here. You have another cast-on grab iron here that lines up with the cast-on grab irons along the side of the short hood, and that's pretty much it. This is a relatively bare bones locomotive, but it is a decent puller. It does top out at around 15 cars. Anything more than 15 cars on this railroad and it starts bogging down and getting crazy wheel slip. So I've got a decent train, at least decent for the Stars Hollow Railroad, assembled on the main line for this guy to pull. So we'll follow it around the railroad and see how it does on the 18-inch radius curves and unlevel track.